Good morning to my kindergarten and first grade students. I hope you all are doing well. We are doing lesson 4, columns, domes, and arches in our architecture unit. This lesson will focus on the tag strategy, carousel brainstorming, engineering process, and scamper. Okay? So I want you to turn to the second page of the lesson plan. You guys will understand that architects are people who work with engineers and provide a service. They are trained to plan and design buildings and oversee their construction. Architecture is the art of directing and designing the structure of buildings. Architects have specific skills and characteristics that help make them successful. Shapes can be geometric or organic. Remember when we went around the school and we found different organic shapes as well as geometric shapes that were like the perfect rectangles or the perfect circles. Those will be your geometric shapes. The organic shapes are those unknown shapes. Remember when we used we cut out the cardboard and we created a structure using the organic shapes? So architects use both geometric and organic shapes when designing buildings so that they are safe and nice to look at. Architects use the engineering process or design thinking process. Shapes can be built stronger so they withstand both compression and tension. Our essential questions for today, what you should know by the end of this lesson is: how might we design a structure that includes the following: columns, beams, domes, and arched openings? And I want you to look around some of your homes. Think about the school building. Look around your neighborhood. Do some of the homes in your neighborhood have columns or beams? Domes. Think about the Georgia Dome before they tore that down. Think about our nation's capital. It has a dome, as well as arched openings, okay? Know that Greeks and Romans built structures to impress during the classical era during the 7th century. Understand that architects first began to use columns, beams, domes, and arches when designing. So, and what I want you to do is design and share a structure that has columns, beams, domes, and an arched opening. And since we're at home, you guys can either use some materials that you have at home, like paper towel holders or rolls, toilet paper rolls, things of that nature. Any materials you have, or you can draw it, okay? I want you to make it elaborate to impress just the way the Greeks and Romans did. The engineering process. We're going to identify the problem. We're going to brainstorm, design, build, test, evaluate, redesign, and share solutions, okay? So, I want you to look at the pictures. You guys have a PowerPoint presentation, okay? Before we get into the PowerPoint presentation, well, I guess we'll start. We can look at the PowerPoint presentation, okay? It says, what is architecture? And you have this copy with you. Architecture is the art of designing and creating buildings. Architecture, architect specialists are specialists in designing structures. Where is Greece? And you know, we were in the classroom, we would have our globes, and I would have you guys to find it on the globe yourself. So it shows you where Greece is on the map, okay? What do you think of when you hear Greece? I want you to think about that. First, we have the Olympics. That's where the Olympics started. Then we have Greek mythology. Okay, here's a picture of Greece. We have different structures in Greece. Okay. Ancient Greek. These would be columns. We see these sometimes in our homes. We see them outside of structures. We see them on our government buildings as well. Here we have the Corinthian columns, okay? This structure or this design here is what make it a Corinthian column. The Corinthian columns are in the ruins in Greece, okay? So it says, guess where this Corinthian column is? All right. We have our nation's capital. We have some different columns all around that structure. Then we have the Doric columns. Notice that it's not as elaborate in this area, okay? Where do you think these modern day Doric columns are? Where do you think we can find these? The not so elaborate ones. Here we have the Lincoln Memorial. And this is located in Washington, D.C. We use columns on a lot of our government buildings. We have the Ionic columns. We have a little more detail here from the Doric columns, but not as elaborate as the first ones. We have more columns here. Again, and this is shown government buildings. The Doric style is the most plain, okay? The Ionic design is famous for its scrolls. So these will be scrolls, those little things right there. That will be the scroll. The Corinthian style is quite fancy. So it's more elaborate. It has a lot more details. Greek architecture is one of the many gifts the world received from the ancient Greeks. If you could add columns to the front of our elementary school, what kind would you choose? So we could add columns to Park Lane to make it better. Which style would you use and why? I want you to write that down and explain to me why. So the Romans developed architecture after they studied the architecture of the Greeks. Greek buildings were beautiful on the outside, but not on the inside. Roman builders were beautiful on the outside and equally beautiful on the inside. Greek buildings were mainly monuments to religion. Roman buildings were mainly for homes and social gatherings. All right. The famous Roman arc will be here. So this, when it's curved like that, that is an arc, okay? Architecture. The arc was a purely Roman invention. An arc is often made up of small stones called voussoirs and a large central stone called a keystone. So this is what it shows you, okay? A series of columns in Greece is called a colonnade. So we have a series, meaning it's more than one. That would be a series, okay? A series of arches in Roman is called an arcade, not like where you play. Okay, so we have a bunch of those. That will be a series, okay? So I want you to make an arch or add arches to your design. And here we have a dome. Up there at the top will be the dome, okay? Architecture. The arc and the dome are variations, of the same concept that allow for the greater height and more space inside of a building. All right, a few questions. Where would you put a dome at Park Lane? Where would you put a dome in your home? Do you have any arches in your home? If so, where? I want you to answer those. All right. And then this sheet just gives you some different types of arches in the order that they were invented, okay? So use that, keep that for your notes, all right? So basically everything else you can go through because you're going to build your model, all right? If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at ruckerad@fultonschools.org. I am available. Or if you go on my school website, you'll be able to find my Google contact number. So you'll be able to call me if you have any questions with that as well. I hope you guys are staying safe, and I want y'all to have a great day.